So it seems on my most recent video, people are getting my message across mixed up. And I want to clarify two specific points. The limits about comedy. I am a super pro speech individual. I suppose the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, and not everything above. But it is important to understand the context. The same way, if you're asking out, or if you're having the first family dinner with your future wife or your future girlfriend, there's certain language you're not going to use because the context. The same way while you are at your job, there might be certain type of comedy. Personally, I love dark comedy. Of course, I'm not going to share anything because that would immediately get my channel closed. But there's context where you're allowed to say certain things. Not necessarily allowed is the right word. Is bringing in a comedian in is to make fun of people, have a good time. And Tony, being the savage that he is, he went at it. Even Joe Rogan confirmed. He's like, dude, that's the joke that's gonna get you in big trouble. And I don't think necessarily big trouble. I am not saying we should cancel the guy. As I mentioned, I personally love the show, Kill Tony. The guy's the man. But on a political party where you have a certain percentage of the population in Pennsylvania, I believe it's around 8%, that are Puerto Ricans, do you think they're going to take that joke in a good, spare way? As I also mentioned, probably the people that already decided to vote for Trump, that joke is not going to make them change their mind. That's how I see it. But is it inappropriate for a political rally? I think so. You might disagree, but if you're working in a line where you're trying to bring people to vote for you, or find less excuses for other people not to like you, I think that's not a joke that brings more people in. Personally, I don't think the joke was funny. I think Tony's a hilarious guy, but I don't think the joke was necessarily funny. I mean, I don't think it was racist either. I don't think it was humiliating either. I just think it was one of those jokes that are like, it's not really that funny. But don't get it twisted. People are like, oh, you're upset with words. Depending on the context, you go to a comedy show, if you get upset, now you have a problem. But if you're at a political party where you need people to vote for you, where you need people to see you in a good way, like, you know what? I'm going to vote for this guy. I don't think that's the appropriate moment to have that type of jokes. On a comedy location, somewhere where you're trying to be funny, hey, go at it. I mean, he was roasting Tom Brady really hard on that roast, and I think he was hilarious. The guy was solid. But that's all I wanted to clarify. And I wanted to expand of people are confusing freedom of speech or the cancel culture nonsense with a comedian. Is a comedian allowed to say whatever they want to say? Yeah, I mean, anything that you don't say that does not violate the First Amendment, you're allowed to say whatever you want. That's not the point. And I still think that Tony is a hilarious guy, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. I don't want to make this video too long, but I wanted to address those points because I saw a repetitive narrative in the comments whether I'm pro canceling Tony because he made an off-color joke. Personally, as I mentioned, didn't think it was a racist, not humiliating joke. I just didn't think it was funny. Some jokes land, some jokes didn't. And clearly the reaction from the crowd, the joke didn't land that well. I'm going to show you the clip here for a second because I know others also asked for the clip.
There's a lot going on. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay. All right. Okay. We're getting there. Now, again, normally I don't follow the national anthem, everybody. This isn't exactly a perfect comedy setup. There's some people here. All right. Very good.
So as you guys see, even the reaction from the crowd, the joke didn't necessarily land. And he even mentioned, hey, maybe this is kind of like he's not prepared for this type of jokes for political rallies. Personally, I still think he's a hilarious guy. I personally think that Trump should invite him in anytime. I think it's just the context of the moment. There's moments, if you're in a comedy show, if you're going to the comedian, if the comedian is at this particular place and he's hosting a party, the guy's gonna roast everybody. The guy gets invited into a party, the guy's gonna behave like a comedian, and that's completely fine. But at a political party where you need people to like you need people to be like, hey, look, this guy has a sense of humor. I know a few Puerto Ricans, they don't care. They don't care. We roast each other a lot worse than whatever he just said. But there's some people, and many people, they have that country pride. And maybe that tone that hit him in a different way, where they're not a fan of the joke. That's pretty much the point that I wanted to bring across, is context of a joke versus what a comedian has to say. A comedian can say whatever they want to say. As long as it does not violate the First Amendment, go do your thing. If people don't like it, go cry to your mama. And I will leave it as that, guys. Peace out.